I mean, if I was Jennifer Garner and I saw that interview, I would be like furious.
Blake Lively genuinely believed she could stay ahead of the internet forever, and that's honestly the wildest part of everything unfolding right now. For years, she built a very specific image, the effortlessly quirky wife, the girl with the perfect hair and the seemingly flawless marriage, trading cute little jokes with Ryan Reynolds on every red carpet she walked. It worked. The industry embraced it, the fan base embraced it, and brand deals followed right along. But lately, people are scrolling back through old stories with a completely different lens, and sitting quietly in the middle of that re-examination is Jennifer Garner. Here's the thing about Jennifer. She never needed to raise her voice to be heard. There were no messy tell-all interviews, no public breakdowns, no moment where she sat down and called anyone out by name. But if you actually pay attention to the small stuff, the shade has always been there, tucked in plain sight. Recently, fans started digging back up an old TikTok clip of Jennifer filmed during her time on Deadpool and Wolverine, and on the surface it looked completely harmless. She's casually walking the set, passes by a Scarlet Witch statue, and cracks a joke in Blake's direction, teasing that she's looking good.
With Blake Lively. See how she's doing. Looking good. My back.
Cute, funny. Most people scrolled right past it. Except they didn't, not for long. Once fans started connecting dots, the reaction online shifted fast because Jennifer wasn't just riffing on a random Marvel prop. She specifically called out Scarlet Witch, and anyone who's followed how Hollywood women communicate knows nothing lands by accident. Scarlet Witch, for anyone who needs a refresher, is a character defined by bending reality and living comfortably inside her own delusion. So naturally, people online started asking the obvious question. Was Jennifer quietly, cleverly, drawing a comparison between Blake Lively and a woman who wrecks everything around her while insisting it's still magical?
As you know, there were a lot of speculations if there was anything going on between Blake Lively and Ben Affleck on the set of this movie. And a lot of people have speculated if that's the reason why Ben Affleck's marriage didn't work out.
Once you go back and dig into the actual timeline between Blake and Ben Affleck, that theory stops sounding like such a stretch. Rewind to 2009. Ben Affleck is behind the camera directing The Town, and back home, Jennifer Garner is pregnant, raising their daughter Violet, essentially running the household solo, while her husband builds out his directing career. Meanwhile, on set, Ben grows fixated, almost obsessively so, on casting Blake Lively for one of the film's central roles. Keep in mind, Blake was around 22 at the time, mostly recognized then for Gossip Girl. Jennifer reportedly assumed Ben would go with someone older, someone with more range for the emotional weight the part required. Instead, Ben apparently developed tunnel vision the moment Blake walked into the room, and from day one, the professional lines already looked shaky at best. Their very first day filming together involved an intimate scene, and Blake has admitted publicly she felt nervous and a little awkward stepping into it.
To tell a key part of the story in their relationship. And I was nervous the night before, and I remember talking to Jeremy. And so I thought, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen. And he said, it's just all in the eyes. And that was it.
That's all I ended up in the scene.
But in later interviews, she started describing the experience differently, talking about how charged the eye contact felt, how quickly the connection between them became something bigger than acting. People allegedly on set at the time noticed Ben acting completely out of character. A grown, married father was suddenly behaving like a smitten teenager. Crew members reportedly noted a visible shift in his mood the moment Blake stepped onto set, that his whole energy would change. They were spending long stretches of time together, private dinners, late-night so-called creative discussions running well past normal hours. And listen, anytime industry people start branding something a creative meeting, my radar goes up instantly. Meanwhile, back in Los Angeles, Jennifer is pregnant, exhausted, raising a toddler mostly solo, while whispers about her husband and his young co-star quietly circulate through the Boston set. That's genuinely the saddest layer of this whole story. Jennifer wasn't some distant, checked-out wife who stopped caring. By every account, she was fighting to hold her family together, fully immersed in motherhood while Ben was off building an entirely different life with a co-star who had none of the domestic weight sitting on her shoulders. Eventually, according to reports, the rumors got loud enough that Jennifer reached a limit. Picture how painful that moment must have felt. She gathered her kids while pregnant and boarded a flight across the country because her gut told her she needed to physically show up and see for herself what was going on between her husband and his co-star. That's not a decision anyone makes lightly. That's the kind of decision made when instinct is loud enough that ignoring it stops being possible. Reports from that period claimed Jennifer arrived on set and made her presence unmistakably known, that she was there to keep watch. And frankly, good for her. When your marriage is quietly unraveling in front of an entire film crew while everyone else pretends not to notice, at some point you stop worrying about how it looks and start protecting what's yours. For a short window, Jennifer showing up appeared to cool things down publicly between Ben and Blake. But insiders at the time reportedly said the emotional fallout had already taken root, that trust had already fractured in ways that don't easily mend. And then, allegedly, things got even messier during a birthday celebration Jennifer threw for her husband, which honestly sounds like it belongs in a soap opera rather than real life. According to circulating rumors, Blake showed up to this family gathering while publicly dating Leonardo DiCaprio, which on its own already feels like an odd choice. But then, reports started suggesting the two of them wandered off together at one point during the celebration, somewhere inside the house Jennifer was fighting to keep intact. Sit with that image for a second. Jennifer Garner, pregnant, hosting a birthday party for her husband, actively trying to save her marriage, while people were whispering that Blake and Ben had disappeared behind closed doors somewhere in her own house. If even a sliver of that rumor holds up, that's cold behavior, plain and simple. And what made the whole thing sting even more was how Hollywood kept framing Blake as this untouchable golden girl, while Jennifer quietly absorbed all the emotional wreckage. The industry has always had a soft spot for romanticizing the exciting younger woman in scenarios like this, while the spouse back home gets written off as boring for the sole reason that she's the one managing actual life and responsibility. Now, a fair caveat here, because it matters. None of this makes Blake some cartoon villain or Jennifer some flawless martyr. A lot of what shaped this narrative for over a decade came from unverified reports, secondhand set gossip, and the kind of tabloid coverage that treats a single unnamed source as gospel. Somebody floats a claim, a blog picks it up, a headline forms, and years later the retelling gets remembered as proof, even when the original claim was never actually nailed down. That's simply how this genre of story tends to work, and it's worth keeping in mind for everything that follows. Then, 2011 hit, and everything blew up even harder when private photos allegedly connected to Blake surfaced online. That's when this entire situation turned publicly humiliating for Jennifer Garner in a whole new way, because suddenly, these alleged private images were spreading everywhere, and internet users immediately went into detective mode trying to piece together the intended recipient. Whispers naming Ben Affleck grew louder with each passing day. Blake's team denied everything, insisting the photos were fabricated, that she'd never taken them, that people were spreading lies about her, but internet sleuths didn't let it go quietly. People noticed the tattoos in the leaked images matched temporary tattoos Blake had worn while filming The Town. The phone case reportedly lined up with a model she'd been photographed, carrying while shooting that same movie. And people picked up on something else too, that for someone supposedly threatening legal action over stolen images, nothing serious ever actually materialized in a courtroom. That silence only fed more suspicion. Honestly, it's hard to imagine what Jennifer Garner must have gone through during that stretch. Even in a marriage already under strain, Watching another woman get publicly, humiliatingly linked to your husband is devastating, especially while you're raising small children and trying to hold on to some dignity as tabloids turn your private pain into public entertainment. But Jennifer never took to the internet to vent. She never sat down for a bitter tell-all. Instead, something quieter and arguably more powerful happened. Her friends started defending her in classic Hollywood fashion. That same year, Reese Witherspoon stepped up to accept an award on live television and delivered a moment many still believe was a direct, if unnamed, jab at Blake Lively. That acceptance speech, which has been replayed and picked apart countless times online, referenced an older generation of actresses who kept certain images private instead of broadcasting them everywhere, before landing the now famous line, "Hide your face, people." The room understood exactly what she meant. Hollywood understood too. And it was almost funny watching Reese's team scramble afterward to insist the speech had nothing to do with Blake. Nobody bought that then, and nobody buys it now. That moment mattered because it proved Jennifer wasn't standing alone in any of this. Powerful women across the industry evidently caught on to what was going on and quietly chose which side they were on. Jennifer has since spoken publicly about how much Reese's support meant to her during one of the hardest stretches of her life. From there, the story only gets messier, because once people started mapping out Blake's dating history around the same window, a pattern emerged that made her wholesome image look a lot less wholesome. While all this alleged tension with Ben Affleck was reportedly playing out, Blake was simultaneously tangled up in a rotating cast of other relationships. At one stretch, she was dating Penn Badgley in public while shooting Green Lantern opposite Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan back then had a wife in Scarlett Johansson. Almost immediately, rumors started swirling about Blake and Ryan getting unusually close on that set too. Crew members allegedly noticed the two of them slipping off together with increasing frequency. Shortly after, Ryan and Scarlett's marriage ended. Before the public could even fully process that, Blake popped up again dating Leonardo DiCaprio, with paparazzi catching them together on yachts, over dinner, on various getaways. Then, that relationship vanished almost as fast as it appeared, and somehow, not long after, Blake circled right back to a freshly divorced Ryan Reynolds. That exact sequence is precisely why people are picking her narrative apart all over again today. Laid out in order, it stops resembling coincidence and starts looking a lot more calculated, someone moving through relationships in Hollywood with remarkable, almost strategic timing. Meanwhile, the two women left holding the wreckage, Scarlett Johansson and Jennifer Garner, quietly rebuilt their lives while Blake walked away with more fame, more opportunity, and eventually one of the most talked about celebrity power couple brands in modern Hollywood. That contrast is exactly why the current backlash feels so different from anything Blake has faced before. For years, she fully controlled her own narrative, funny, stylish, relatable, seemingly untouchable. But once the "It Ends With Us" controversy with Justin Baldoni broke wide open, people started digging back through every uncomfortable chapter of her past. Old interviews got pulled back up. Old rumors made the rounds again. Accounts describing dismissive, difficult behavior started circulating too. And the carefully polished image she'd spent well over a decade constructing started cracking in real time, live, in front of an audience no longer willing to look away. And apparently, in the middle of that unraveling, Blake reportedly slid into Ben Affleck's inbox privately. And this is the point where watching from the outside gets genuinely cringeworthy. According to details tied to court filings, Blake allegedly sent Ben a long, emotionally loaded message asking for guidance and support while her public image crumbled around her. The message reportedly opened by identifying herself and pleading with him to keep reading, which for starters, you can't exactly hang up on an email. That opening alone suggests she already had a feeling Ben would rather not hear from her at all. And apparently, it kept getting more uncomfortable as it went on. Blake allegedly dropped Ryan Reynolds' name repeatedly throughout the message, seemingly working overtime to make the point that her marriage is solid and none of this carries any deeper meaning. Then, she reportedly pivoted into praising Ben's directing career, asking him for advice navigating the fallout from the Baldoni situation, the personnel complaints, the media narrative spinning out of her control. And honestly, that desperation is the part people keep circling back to. Because this wasn't the version of Blake who spent over a decade acting completely bulletproof on red carpets. This was someone visibly rattled as her career took a public hit, and out of everyone available to her, she allegedly circled back to the one man wrapped up in one of the more painful periods of Jennifer's own history. But here's the detail Jennifer likely savored more than anything else in this whole saga. Ben Affleck reportedly cut off all contact and never responded at all. No emotional reunion, no quiet backing, no offer of help. According to insiders, Ben wanted zero involvement whatsoever, and that silence honestly says more than any statement ever could. Years earlier, Ben allegedly risked his marriage, his reputation, his entire family's stability chasing whatever this connection with Blake was. He was reportedly consumed by it, completely captivated, and now, years down the line, that same woman apparently reaches out looking for support, and she gets met with total radio silence instead. That's brutal, plain and simple. Insiders claim one major reason Ben refused to re-engage was Jennifer herself. Because despite everything that unfolded between them, Ben and Jennifer have reportedly put in years of work to rebuild trust while raising their minors together, chasing stability for their family after the chaos, the public embarrassment, the struggles with substances, the scandals, and the heartbreak that played out under a spotlight neither of them chose. Their relationship today is reportedly grounded in genuine, mutual respect, and Ben apparently understood clearly that reopening any line of contact with Blake risked shattering that peace overnight. One source put it plainly: Ben had zero interest in getting pulled back into anything involving Blake Lively, especially given how much old pain that whole chapter still carries for Jennifer. And honestly, that checks out, because out of everyone connected to this whole saga, she's the one coming out of it looking genuinely classy. Jennifer never constructed some flawless public persona for herself. She never tried convincing anyone she had a fairy tale marriage with zero cracks in it. She lived through public humiliation, raised her family largely in the spotlight, supported Ben through serious addiction struggles, survived a very public divorce, and somehow still walked away as one of the most widely respected people working in Hollywood today. That's exactly why the current reaction online feels so intense, because the contrast between the two women is almost impossible to ignore at this point. Jennifer reads as grounded. Blake reads as manufactured. Jennifer reads as emotionally mature. Blake reads as performative. Now that her image has cracked under pressure, people are digging back through every old story she'd managed to dodge for well over a decade. For more than 10 years, Blake curated her image as the down-to-earth, fun wife, cracking jokes on red carpets, playing off Ryan Reynolds like they're the funniest duo in Hollywood. But once public opinion shifted, every old clip got reinterpreted through a harsher lens. Old interviews resurfaced, showing her as dismissive, accusations of mean girl behavior gained traction, and the confidence people once liked started reading as arrogance. That's how celebrity culture works, and there's a karma narrative people can't stop attaching to this one. Jennifer Garner quietly absorbed years of embarrassment while Blake climbed higher, landing the glamorous marriage and power couple branding. Now the dynamic has flipped. Jennifer remains widely respected, and Blake is the one facing non-stop scrutiny. To a lot of people online, it feels like overdue justice, especially since Jennifer never had to tear Blake down herself. She just kept living her life until perceptions swung back around. Whether every detail about Blake and Ben checks out or got inflated over years of rumor mills barely matters now. The damage is happening regardless, because enough people have already bought into the narrative, and that's the real danger in celebrity culture. Once trust breaks, every old rumor feels more believable than it deserves to. Blake's biggest problem is that people no longer see her as the wholesome wife she spent years selling. They're viewing her through a harsher lens now: scheming, self-interest, managed PR, fair or not. Meanwhile, Jennifer ended up with real peace and the quiet satisfaction of watching a woman tied to so much of her old pain scramble to hold an image together in real time. Jennifer likely never has to say a word about any of it. The internet and the court filings are doing the talking for her. Sometimes the quietest person in the room turns out to be the one holding all the receipts. Thank you so much for watching. If this one kept you hooked, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Clout Fallout so you don't miss the next update on this story.